What's up, guys? Have you ever missed a workout or a meal in your diet plan and sort of already instantly feel like you failed everything? Or that triggered a reset where you're like, I'll start again next week, right? Because I missed that day or I couldn't work out today. All of your progress is ruined. Well, what if I told you that skipping a day might actually be the smartest thing you can do for your fitness or your diet? Uh, Stick around, watch the video, and we're about to nerd out on things like evolutionary biology, neuroscience, psychology, and just sort of my firsthand experience in doing it myself and coaching for the last 12 years. So let's kind of go into evolutionary biology here. They lived in cycles of effort and recovery. Hunting, gathering, sprinting, carrying, followed by days of enforced rest. This could have been due to a failed hunt, bad weather, injury, right? You're doing something very intense. Our bodies are evolved and thrive on these cycles of intensity and relaxation or recovery, I would call it. And when you skip a day, you're not breaking the system, you're following a biological rhythm that's been around for thousands of years. It's not abnormal. And here's the cool part, our body uses something called allostasis. That is a fancy word for energy budgeting. I believe, don't take this as fact, but it's a system that exists in the body, and I believe it's our hypothalamus that sort of tracks us. That's most of our autonomic things that kind of happen in our body. There's kind of this part of our brain, like a computer, that tracks all that during the day. And essentially, what it's budgeting is, are you stressed? Are you underslept? Are you fighting off a cold? And the body tries to reallocate resources to healing, our immune function, muscle growth. So missing workouts isn't lazy. You're not bad for missing a workout. It's just biology to prioritize survival. Now, let's move to the next idea of neuroscience of the brain and rest. Now, let's talk brain science for a second. Every time you train, you're not just working out your muscles. You're also teaching your brain new movement patterns. These movement patterns or skills, right? Because a movement pattern is a skill, is sort of controlled by something called our motor cortex. It's on the outside of our brain, as I understand it. And the first time you do a movement that is new, unless you are already athletic and you have some kinesthetic awareness of your body, these can be difficult. I mean, even example today, I was teaching a woman in her 50s who is strength training to connect with her daughter who's powerlifting, which I think is awesome, but also to ward off osteoporosis. She's squatting and her form looks really good. And she's just kind of getting hard on herself because we're learning the concept of balancing while squatting. And this is either where her torso is leaning too far forward, or her knees are jutting forward, or her butt's kicked back. Her nervous system is essentially learning how to talk to all of those muscles simultaneously as she goes through a new movement pattern. So I don't want to get too deep on that. I want to stay on the wrestling. But essentially, with it being part of our motor cortex, when we're learning a pattern, say I do a new task today. When you go to sleep, part of sleep is your brain is wiping and deleting anything that is useless and sort of storing anything that is useful into memory for future use. So if you've ever been stuck on a problem or something was really difficult the first time, and then you go to bed and you repeat it and you're a little bit better at it. Especially initially, skills can jump a lot in the beginning when you don't know a lot. and then skills advance very slow chunks at a time over longer periods of time. Rest days also give your HPA access, hypothalamus pituitary adrenal access. That's essentially your stress response system. Again, it's everything internally talking to itself, a chance to reset. If you train nonstop, cortisol, your stress hormone, will stay elevated, wreaking havoc on sleep and even breaking down muscle. So when I was young, 20s, like I thought working out all the time was good for me. And I bounce back a lot quicker, you recover faster, but you don't think or consider this background process in your body recovering, because even if your muscles feel good, ready to train, that isn't always the best indicator, depending specifically like on what your goal is. If it's strength and we need the nervous system to be ready and primed, or are we doing something that is functional or athletic and you need to be explosive, rest days are really important for resetting that nervous system. And here is something that you will love. Missing a day helps reset your dopamine system. When you overtrain, workouts will feel like chores because your dopamine sensitivity drops. A little rest recalibrates your brain so that you actually look forward to your next session instead of dreading it. So when we are burnt out, prime example, end of the day, is usually when people fall apart. You're tired and just beat up by the day, and that's typically when our choices go to the dump, right? We have a glass of wine, we snack on that sweet treat, we watch too much TV, all to alleviate the burnout from the stress of the day. All right, next section we're going to go into is the psychology of why we feel guilty. So, why do we beat ourselves up over something that's literally good for us? Resting is good for us. It comes down to cognitive distortions. Our brain's love of all or nothing thinking. Miss one workout and suddenly we believe all of our progress is gone. But that's just a mental bias, especially if we're good at other skills and we're learning a new skill. I think the biggest tip I would give someone as a coach is, if you're new or coming back to this, literally the goal should just be show up for 30 days. At 30 days, reassess all the progress you made, and then maybe where you're struggling. And that will dictate what we build into to improve on the struggles, right? But not this like every single day, like, oh, I didn't do well today. Oh, I'm tired today. Because then like you're living on a day-to-day basis. We have to expand that time horizon to be more long-term so that you actually enjoy the journey and you're not mentally beating yourself up. So, and then there's also the identity factor. If you see yourself as a disciplined person, missing workouts can feel like breaking that identity. But we can be disciplined in things, like I said, that we're confident with, and not disciplined in things that we're not confident with. Prime example of this is like someone can be who works out all the time is really confident with working out, but when it comes to maybe finances, maybe they just don't look at that, and it's something that they're unconfident with. So the discipline, I would say, like I said earlier, is just like when you notice a problem, it's taking new action and having a outcome that gets you a win so that you stick in the pattern. So if you literally know nothing, it's not like know everything in 2 days. We want something where it's like, okay, next 90 days, I'm going to track X data on my finances and we'll see where I'm at. It's being aware of it and not being too harsh on a concept that maybe no one has ever modeled or taught you. So other than that identity factor, it's not about perfection, it's about resilience And resilience is a word that I see tossed around, especially in like self-development, as like this tough, right? But what if, again, we stretch out that time horizon and look at resilience as knowing when to push and knowing when to pause for yourself, not comparing to anyone else. Knowing that when you are pushing through maybe a fear and showing courage, and knowing when to pause because your nervous system really is burnt out and you're overwhelmed and you can't make any choices or decisions, or you know, and you need a second to reset your mindset so that you can keep pushing forward. That's resilience. I've been training since I was 18 and I'm 35. So I've been training for 17 years. In that time, there were chunks of time where I've maybe 2 or 3 times where I've stopped strength training for 3, 4, 5 months just because burnt out, overwhelmed. It was like never an idea in my head that I was going to quit this forever. It was just right now I'm dealing with a emotionally difficult thing. So let's take a break. Or I did a competition and that totally just took it all out of me. And you got to pause, you got to reset. So after going over all those topics, if I haven't already dropped a couple examples in there, let's just reframe it. Okay, so missing a workout isn't failure. It's part of your body's ancient survival strategy. Missing a workout helps your muscle grow, your brain consolidate new skills, so technique, movement, and it allows your motivation to bounce back to a high level because you're not drained all the time. And then skipping a day is like hitting the reset button so that you can keep going for the long haul, because it's not often. There's some skills that we learn probably for fun that are temporary, but there's enough information on the internet at this point to realize that being physically active in a way that is enjoyable to you, the individual doing the physical activity, is something that we want to be able to do as long as possible, as long as we possibly can. And if there's something that halts that, being open-minded and considerate of a different physical activity, whether it is different, more intense, or less intense, so that we keep activity going, right? Because in those stints where I've stopped for a couple months, I obviously got strong, like weaker. I obviously shrunk in size a little bit. And even myself had like a moment of, oh, I used to be so much stronger. I used to be so much bigger. I'm not going to be able to get back to that point. You have to shift your mind. Like I think that's the idea of mindset, is when we're not mindful, and it's also coming from someone we don't trust or doesn't look the part or whatever. But if we're being like dead honest, it's just uncertainty. It's the unknowing, because we are all aging. And now I'm going to talk to a demographic of middle-aged men specifically. I'm calling you out. Like, you get older and you say, this isn't possible, or there are standards of things that you think you need to take care of, and you put things that are good for you on the back burner. Never do that, man. Like, it's going to put you in a dark, dark hole. You're going to feel like crap about your own physical body. Now, the things that you're doing and the reasons why you're doing them all may be things that you take pride in, and that's awesome. But can we be the people that do both? 30-minute exercise, 20-minute exercise twice a week is better than zero. So can you look at your busy ass schedule and be like, All right, 2 days, 20 minutes. What we got? Plan it, and your goal is literally stay consistent with this 2 days a week thing for a month, for 2 months. And I guarantee in that month to 2 month period, you internally start having dialogue with yourself where again, initially resistance, friction, this sucks, I'm out of shape, all those conversations you have. But from there, it goes to in like week 3, 4, 5, like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. Hey, this is actually getting kind of easy. Maybe we tweak up the amount of sets we do in that 20 minutes, right? And like little adjustments happen. And then maybe fast forward more, and like week 7, there's like holiday, family stuff, more things on your calendar than you would like to be on your calendar, and you slip. And it's at that point that you don't go, oh, I suck, because no, you have more responsibilities you have to take care of, and that's okay. Now, the week after, get back to it, right? And give yourself grace for showing up. The last thing here is just to say, next time you miss a workout, don't panic. Don't beat yourself up. Embrace it. Your body and your brain know what they are doing. And I would say the only time you really push past that would be dictated on the level of athlete you're trying to be. Okay? If your dad used to be an athlete and just want to be in shape for longevity and health, then like don't tear yourself a new one and think you're listening to the voices in your head telling you things that aren't true. Like you're showing up, you're working out, you're making yourself better. But obviously, if for whatever reason a top tier athlete stumbles upon this, then I would definitely say like you need to be your number one fan, and you also need to do your best to try and surround yourself with people who are going to be there to support you, because it can be very lonely competing in something very difficult that you in your head are trying to be the absolute best at. And in that, still try to make it fun, but you can still nitpick all the little details of science, the minutia. But just be diligent in your efforts of surrounding yourself with good people, keeping a good mindset. And that's really all I have about missing a day of training. If you guys think that in some way this helps shift your perspective, hit the like button on this video so I know people watch it to the end, because that's huge for me. And share this with a friend who maybe is beating themselves up. Be like, yo, I found this really cool video on not beating yourself up when you miss a day. Because again, that's just gonna motivate me more to keep coaching in this format. Because this is also new to me. This is one of those new habits for me, filming videos, being on camera, sharing my ideas. Like, it's scary, right? And it takes a little bit of courage. And now that I'm like so many into it, it's just become more comfortable, right? And I switched my mindset. I don't care what I look like, because I know that my intention in my heart is truly just to help people be better, live better. And like, I'm proud of that. So that's where we're at. Basically, if you just like this kind of content on training and nutrition and health, please subscribe. It means the world to me, and I appreciate your time for sticking around and listening to my opinions and my advice on this. If you have any questions, drop a comment. I'd love to have a conversation and start building a community. Stay strong.